I have some starting content, and we're going to look at what it takes to build a course using the AI assistant in Rise. So let's talk about the content I have. I'm going to move this over here. So I have a lot of OSHA training or presentations on ladder safety. I'm just going to use a PowerPoint file. So I have this OSHA PowerPoint file here on ladder safety. What I'm going to do though is, well, I actually did this already. I went into the PowerPoint file and I changed every ladder reference to Zizbo, because what I want to do is show that when we insert this course content, it's actually pulling in the content from the PowerPoint file and not generic ladder content, right? So I took the ladder safety course, changed every word where it says ladder to Zizbo. Now, when you're working with PowerPoint, there's a few things you want to consider when you're working with, this as your starting content if you're using AI. One is, if you're using PowerPoint for training, you probably think there's more content in there than there actually is. A lot of times the slides are summarized or there's imagery, and you're so used to it, you may not realize there's really not that much text content to work with. So it's always good to take all the content you have, PowerPoints, PDFs, if you're copying and pasting from websites that you have, intranet sites, policies, whatever it is, use as much content as you have available to you. And that'll help with your content creation using AI. In this case, we're just going to use the PowerPoint file. The other thing I would say about PowerPoint, when you bring the PowerPoint into the AI assistant, it's going to read the text, but it doesn't import those images. So you may have a lot of imagery in your PowerPoint file or audio and video files that you want to bring into your Rise course. The AI assistant's not going to do that, but I'm going to show you a really quick way to get that. So if you have a PowerPoint file here, I'm going to right click on it. And PowerPoint's basically just a zipped up file format. So we're going to right click on it. I have a free tool that I use called 7-Zip, and you can see it's right here. And then I'm just going to extract the file into a folder. So what it's going to do is it's going to unzip this PowerPoint file, and you can see here it is. It didn't do anything to PowerPoint, right? So nothing's happened to your file. But if I go inside of here, this is the inside of the PowerPoint file, and inside the PPT folder, you're going to see a media folder, and then inside the media folder, you're going to see all of the files or images available to you. So you can see the pictures here. If you had video, audio, all of the media is going to be there. So all of the media that you would need for your Rise course, you have in a single folder. So that's an easy way to work with that. So just unzip the PowerPoint file. You have access to all the media, and you can upload that into your Rise course as you need it. And that's only going to be the video, pictures, and audio. If you have shapes, the shapes aren't going to be there because those are all vector drawn inside the PowerPoint application itself. All right, so let's go back to our ladder safety. We're going to use this Zizbo course. So we're inside of Rise, and I'm going to use just AI to work with this, and you'll see how fast all of this works. So we're going to go to Create New. We're going to go to Course, Start with AI. And it's going to ask you right here what you want to do with your course, right? So what's your course about? In this case, we're going to say it's Zizbo Safety Training. Safety awareness. I'm the worst typer in the world. Safety awareness for middle school children, not chickens. All right. And if you have a target audience, we'll just say beginners and students. And the more you put in here, the better. I'm just making it really quick. If I have learning objectives, we'll just say a clear understanding. I know a lot of people don't like the word understanding for objective. Clear understanding of Zizbo safety in a workplace. All right. And then here's where I'll add my content. You could see that I can add docs, PDF, PowerPoint, text. You can also copy and paste text. One thing that I like to do when I'm working with AI is I have a blank, let me show you here. I have a blank text document, and that's just a habit I've had for years because it doesn't have any formatting. So I can copy and paste text from other places. So if I'm working on an intranet site, I might copy text and paste it into this, and then I'll copy this and paste it into like Rise, for example. So I've got this. I'm going to insert the PowerPoint file. So I'm just going to click on that and drag it over. And so here's our zizbo.pptx. Again, the reason I'm using Zizbo is because I want to show you that it's only going to pull in the Zizbo training information from the PowerPoint and not the ladder training, because we changed the word, right? Because if I didn't change it, you would see ladder information, and then the question would be, well, where's that coming from? Is that coming only from the PowerPoint, or is that coming from generic ladder safety training on the internet, right? So we're just doing Zizbo training, trademarked Zizbo training. So we're going to hit continue. And what it's going to do first is say, do you want a title, right? So we're going to do a title and an outline. Then we're going to bring that into Rise and start building our lessons. So what title do you want to use? You can use the ones that it gave you here. You can add directions for different titles. You can just insert the title and change it later. It really doesn't matter. I'm just going to go with the Zizbo Safety Basics for Young Learners. That sounds good to me. And now it's going to use my content and make an outline of the content. Now, when you're looking at the outline and you think of the construction of courses in Rise, a title is going to go up here, right? And you have a description. And then we have our lessons. So where we see lesson 1, that's going to be here, lesson 1. Lesson 2, then there's going to be a second lesson. So we have these sub lessons, or these other topics within the main lesson. What happens to those? You're going to see. One of the things to keep in mind is you have these subtopics. They're not fleshed out yet. And when you insert this outline, which we're going to do, and it creates the lessons, and you go inside the lesson, it's going to look empty. And the reason it's going to look empty is because Rise doesn't know what to do with that subtopic. There's no content in there. It doesn't know what type of block you're going to use. So we're going to use the AI block creation, and then you'll see what happened to all of that. Because that's a question I saw in the community where people are asking, well, I created this outline, what happened to my content? So let's look through this, understanding Zizbo and their uses, safety, basic Zizbo anatomy, safety precautions, safe practices while on Zizbos, right? So you can see where it says Zizbos, really should say ladder. We're going to go through this. We'll do a few things. One is you can see down here, you can add lessons, remove lessons, change focus, do that. But you can also prompt things in here, so you don't have to use these buttons. So we're going to combine it. We're going to say remove lesson. So we want to remove lesson 5. So I'll just say lesson 5. I'm going to add a period. I'm going to say also simplify the outline for younger students. We'll just do that and see what it is. And then let's see what it does. So it should give us 4 lessons, and then these should be a little bit simple. And this is pretty simple anyway, but let's just see what it does. We're going to go ahead and hit enter. And then it's going to rework this a bit. And so we've got a different outline. Whether it simplified it to our preference, it's who knows. We're going to go ahead and keep this the way it is, just so we can speed along through here. But again, if you wanted to revise things, you can do that. If you want to, whatever you want to do, you can do that. So we're going to insert this. Remember, you're always the one in charge. The AI assistant really is an assistant. It's taking your content. It's going to help you structure your content and then help you work with it. So it really does speed up a lot of your production. You can see that if I wasn't talking to you, this would only take me a minute or so to get a pretty good outline put together, and then I would start working on my content. So now you can see I've got these 4 lessons that we created, but there's nothing else in there, right? And now I need to add my content. So we'll work on the first one. I'm going to add content. We're going to create a lesson. And now what happened to those subtopics? Well, the subtopics were created by AI. So if I go into the AI block, click inside of here, you're going to see here are those subtopics. I can use the subtopics. I can add my own topics. Really doesn't matter. It's up to you. You're the author. It's your course. What's going to work best for you? I'm just going to stick with the subtopics. Well, before I stick with the subtopics, let's go ahead and add a new topic because I want to have an introduction for this lesson. So we're going to do introduction for the lesson. And then I'm going to say create a brief intro and 3 bullet point objectives for the lesson. Let's see what it does for us. And we're going to hit OK. So we're going to want this first one to be a paragraph, but you can see I have other options here. We're going to do a paragraph. And I'm assuming this looks good. Again, we may want to change these. That's fine. I'm not going to get all bent out of shape because it's not exactly perfect. I'm going to hit insert. And now I've got my block here. So I've got a welcome, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to read through this, obviously, make sure it aligns with what we want to do. Here are my objectives. Maybe I don't like the word understand, which is one of those things, the pet peeves of a lot of instructional designers. So what we can do is we can say explain the importance, and maybe that's one of the things we'll do in the course. So we've got this here. Now I'm going to add another block. Now I can go with the 3 that it created. Let's do basic Zizbo parts. Now in this case, let's mix it up a little bit. I'm going to insert an accordion interaction. So I'm going to insert an accordion interaction. Normally I have to copy and paste, build the accordion. That can be a bit, a lot of copying and pasting. This looks fine. This outline, again, I can modify it any way I want to. We're just going to use the outline as it is. And now it's building the accordion. So it took the outline, it's building in some content. It's our job as course designers to look at, make sure the content works. We're just going with what we assume is working based on the content we inserted. I'm going to insert the block. Not fast, I have an accordion interaction, right? And so I've got the accordion interaction here. Click on it, open it up. I've got my text, and then, I'm assuming it's okay. All right, let's go ahead and create another block. We're going to add a block here. We can come back to the second one. We're going to use Y. What was the second one? When to use Zizbos. And let's make this into a process interaction. Or let's make it as a flashcard. So we're going to do a flashcard. And then it's going to print out the front of the card. Print out the back of the card. I can modify it. We're not going to worry about modifying it for right now. And we're going to just insert the block just so you can see how fast it builds those. And then we've got our flashcards, right? And it's still just your content. So you can come in and edit it. Just once it's in the block format, just come in here, edit this any way you want to. You can select text. You notice you can edit it using AI as well. That's something we'll do next. Let's go ahead and create one more block. We'll do AI block. That's what are Zizbos. I would probably want to change the order of these things if this was a real course. Let's make this into a process interaction. So we're going to click on process, and it's going to go through this, and we'll say, this looks good. I'm going to go ahead and use this outline. And now what it's going to do is it's taken this content here, the outline, and now it's fleshing it out. And we'll assume the content's good. Again, my job is to make sure that the content works based on what I'm building in the course. We're going to insert this. And now I have a cool little process interaction. You can see how fast this is, right? So the key thing is at that front end, ingesting your source material. The more source material, the better. And then what you want to do is, you're going to build a course. If you didn't have AI, you would still have to figure out, well, what are my objectives? How do I want to organize the content? The AI just makes that a lot faster for you. And then once you bring it in here, What do you want to do with that content? You can see how quick it is to take your content and convert it to different types of blocks. And so now we have a process interaction here. And you can see when you're working with the block, there's a little AI block tool. So if I click on that, you can see it can convert this. So maybe I don't want this process interaction, didn't work for me. So I'm going to change this, and we're going to turn this into a tabs interaction. And then here's our tabs interaction. You saw that, what did that take, like 10 seconds? So we say, okay, the tabs interaction actually works better for us than the process interaction. So we're going to delete that, and we'll keep the tabs interaction. If I'm working inside of the tabs, it's just like any other tab. I can come in here. Maybe I want to add some media. Let's do introduction to Zizbos. We're going to use generate with AI. I'm going to say a kid standing by a ladder. And then I'm going to use this 3D animation. Since this is for middle schoolers, I'll use a square image. We'll just use the landscape, hit generate. And it's going to generate an image for me, or 4 images. I can see which ones I like. I'm going to say, okay, I like this one. We'll just choose this one here. We're going to insert that. If I didn't like it, I can generate again. So we're going to insert this. And so you can see how that works. So if we previewed this lesson, we didn't even type anything in here yet, right? We've got this basic structure here. We've got everything built for us. But I didn't have to build any of these things. The AI did the hard lifting for me. And then I would just go through and modify the content as I need to. So super easy to work with. You saw how quickly we were able to change it from one type of block to another. Let's go to another lesson, and I'll show you some things that you can do when you're working with the content. So we're going to come back in here. Let's go to the second lesson. And again, where is that outline that it created for us? It's right in here. These are topics. If I didn't want to start there, I could start with my own. Like I can just come in here. Let's close this out. I could come in here and insert a text block, and then I can say, intro, and then I could come in here, and then I can edit with AI, and then I can tell it what I want it to, what I want it to be. So it's up to you how you want to do that. We're going to go ahead and we're going to work with the AI block. We'll use the proper footwear and clothing. In this case, I might want to assess your understanding before we start talking about it. So let's create a sorting activity. And then it's going to come up with my 2 sorts, right? So what's the right? Is it good or bad? Do's or don'ts? Proper, improper? I'm going to choose the do's or don't, because it's pretty straightforward. And now what's going to do is we've got a do column and a don't column. And there you go. And look how fast that was. Again, I could change any of this if I want to. So I'm going to insert that. Now I've got this really quick sorting activity. So one other thing that I think is really neat about this, let me go ahead and insert another AI block, and we'll do the choosing the right Zizbo or right ladder. We're going to insert this as a paragraph. So now we've got this information. This is something I think is really cool about AI when you think about building your courses and trying to engage your learners. A lot of times the content we have is very basic content, or it's straightforward, just content. And I think one of the things we always tell people is try to create the content so it's relevant. The perspective is relevant to the learner. So it's less about the course content and more about the learner and how they're engaging the content. And so one of the things we say is, if you can't build interactive decision-making scenarios, try to create simple stories or a narrative or case studies, and it kind of pulls the person in. So like in this case, we're saying when selecting a Zizbo or a ladder, it's crucial to consider, blah, 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 and we go through all this stuff. Watch what I'm going to do. I'm going to insert this block. I'm going to select all of this. And what I want to do is I want to edit this text. I want to come down here, and we have this create a scenario. And so I'm going to create a scenario. And so I'm just going to assume it's good. We're going to insert it below and see what it looks like. So here was just information. Here's that same information. Imagine you're a maintenance technician assigned to perform routine maintenance on a rooftop, blah, 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 rooftop HVAC unit. So it's kind of building a narrative for you to kind of explain the context for how you might use a Zizbo or ladder versus just giving you information about the ladder. So it becomes a bit more memorable. It also becomes easier to insert an image to maybe support this text. And then another thing, this is for kids, this reads a little bit heavy. So I'm going to select all this text here. I'm going to edit it again, and I'm going to say, let's change the tone, just make it more friendly. And then we could have changed the audience and, said for younger kids or something like that. Let's just insert this below and see what it looks like. So now the tone's different. Hey there, imagine your maintenance for, and then if you wanted to change the audience, say, well, that's nice, friendly tone, but I actually want to make it read a little bit better for an audience. So I'm going to say audience of, we'll say 13-year-olds. 13-year-olds. All right. Let's see what it does. It may have kept it similar because the text wasn't too hard. So you get the general idea, though. We'll insert it below. And so you can see it. It looks like it did remove some of the text in there. So the main point is you're working with your content. You're using the AI assistant to help outline it and help flesh out your lessons. And it's using your content. The better you do at describing what you want, the more likely you're going to get AI to do a lot of the heavy lifting for you. If you just go through this and generically have AI build a lesson plan and do all that, you'll probably get a pretty decent starting point, but you'll probably end up doing a lot more editing. So while you're working at the AI level, the more descriptive you are in what you want, the less work you're probably going to have to do cleaning up and editing. And then the last thing I'll add in here is if you need to build quizzes, you can come in here and create a quiz. We'll just say this is the final quiz. Hit enter, add content. We're going to create a quiz. And then you get these starter questions. We're going to delete that. And then what we're going to do is insert a question here. This is in the way. I'm going to go ahead and insert a new question. We're going to generate with AI. It's using our source content. And so you can see it's using our source content because it's using the word Zizbo, right? I'm going to assume this is good, but it's going to show you your questions and answers. And then if you like that, you can insert it. If you want to change it up, change the focus, add an answer, different, whatever you want to do, you can do that. We're going to insert the question, and now we've got our quiz question. If you want to add some media, you can do that up here. But if we preview this, got a nice simple quiz question. I hate building quiz questions. That's probably the worst part to me when you're building a course, especially if you're not the content owner, right? Because you've got to work with a subject matter expert, getting them to craft 10 good multiple choice quiz questions and then coming up with good alternative answers. That can be a real chore. But doing it like this is really nice, right? Because you can get AI to generate a lot of the quiz questions and then send that to the SME to do the editing. So you've got a good starting point. But you can see how easy it is. It's a real time saver. It's not going to save you time if you haven't thought through your course. Where it saves you time is when you're thinking through, obviously you have a course you're going to build, so you already know what course you want to build, and you know what objectives you have, and you generally probably have a good idea of how you want to outline your content. So you just bring in your source material and just go through the AI process and have the assistant work through it with you. And the more you do up front, the easier it's going to be to start editing. But you can see we didn't put a lot of work in this, right? So in less than 20 minutes, we have a course description. We fleshed out some lessons. We didn't obviously put a lot of effort into it, but you can see how far we got along in just a few minutes working with the AI. So if you put a little bit more effort into that in the prompting and describing what you want, you'll find it's really going to speed up a lot of that authoring, especially at the initial stage when you need to get all your content back into Rise and into some sort of course structure. And a couple other things while we're thinking, because I just saw the word quiz here, a couple of other things I like to do. I showed you how to change that narrative. I think another neat thing that you can do is you can insert some sort of summary. So if, like, let's say we want to do an AI text block, we can say, a summary of the lesson, and let's just see what it does. We'll do a paragraph. And so we got a paragraph. We're just going to insert this the way it is. You can keep this. One of the things I like is, assuming this was all my content in the course, come in here. I like this, create a summary here. Where is that at? Create key takeaways, right? So I'm going to create key takeaways, and I'm just going to insert that below. And so I could use this now as additional content. Maybe what I want to do is turn that into a different type of block. So there's all sorts of things you can do with that. So this idea of like bringing your source content into Rise with the AI assistant, walking through the course, understanding what features are available to you. Again, if I select this text and edit with AI, you can see there's all sorts of things that you can do in working with the content. And then you can even reimagine the blocks, right? So I've got one type of block and I want to change it to another type of block. I'm just going to copy this text here, and then let's go to AI block, and then I'm going to paste this in here, and that's my content, and I'm going to tell me to create a list, and now it create me a nice little summary list from that, and insert that. So I got a much cleaner looking list for key takeaways. A lot of things you can do. You're the author. You're the final say in the process. AI is not the dictator in it, right? AI is just taking your content and helping you walk through the content and how you want to structure that. So play around with it. There's all sorts of features in there, a lot of neat things you can do, but I think you'll find that once you get used to the flow, it's really going to save you a lot of time pulling your content together and then working with it.